Okay, all right, well, it's after 5, so we have a quorum. Let's call the meeting to order. We have any citizen comments tonight? Good. I mean, not good. That's the wrong thing to say. All right, the May 23 minutes, anybody have ready a chance to take a look at those?
Stephanie did an awesome job.
She did a good job. We
And we
appreciate
missed
it.
you,
We
and she did a great job.
We did this. I have a motion to approve.
Approved.
Second. Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. Okay. That passes. Administrative reports. Well, I don't have too much to report. As mentioned last time, we were going to work on an historic preservation policy as part of sort of one way of dealing with the change in structure that's going to be coming up next year. And so Grace and I are going to try to get together with Bill Callahan, the next step here, to
Perfect.
get his input about exactly his ideas. Well, what should this look like? Can he give us some examples of similar historic districts to ours that have a policy, even so that we don't necessarily have to start from scratch, but we'll work with him, and hopefully over the course of summer, we'll get a draft to you guys to look at overall. That's basically where we are right now.
And I don't, I know it's summer and like, we're all volunteers and everything like that, but if like, I do feel a little bit of pressure to try to move that forward, definitely by the end of summer, because say at the end of the day, we look at the policy and we feel like it's not enough and the board structure isn't gonna work. The sooner we kind of make steps to make that change, the more likely we'll be able to make a change. But if we're in November and we're talking about it, I don't think it's gonna happen,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons, we want to get Grace's experience on board here with this too. That's why I want her to meet with Bill.
Nice.
And so we cut her away until she was out of school. So
Yeah, I'm done now, so.
Sure, that makes
So-
sense.
hopefully by the next meeting, we'll.
Have something to talk
Progress.
about. Thank you so much.
But yes, I think certainly by the September meeting at the latest, we should be able to have something
Yeah,
that this board can approve and send out.
and the goal is definitely to make it work within the structure, but, thanks.
Okay, any questions?
Thanks for doing that.
Mission, Mindy.
Sure. So I mentioned that we did a little preview. We were going to talk about big discussion on sidewalks. We talked about that at the last meeting, and we had. Mission had a huge discussion on sidewalks. You can tune into that if you want. It was last Tuesday. It's posted on our website and during the public discussion agenda, if you go there. But I'll give you a quick summary. We have a sidewalk policy that was enacted in 2013, and the goal of that policy was to allow residents who want sidewalks to be able to install sidewalks in a cost-sharing way with the municipality, where the municipality picks up the majority of the cost for that installation. That policy has only resulted in one street having sidewalks. That's Meadowcroft, because has some pretty high bars to meet the requirements to get into that sidewalk policy. Right now, if a resident does want a sidewalk on their policy, they can get a permit and do that through the municipality, and they need to pay the full cost of that sidewalk installation, in addition to the maintenance of the sidewalk that you guys are probably all, or maybe all familiar with, that's required. So you can get a sidewalk if you want one. But the problem with residents getting piecemeal sidewalks is where exactly does that sidewalk go? Some of our sidewalks, well, there's 3 different types of sidewalks, 2 mainly. One is right up against the street, and then one's a setback with the grassy area. Even the distance of that grassy area is inconsistent across the municipality. So we'd like to standardize it. We'd like to standardize it with the preference being that there is the patch, a little setback from where the sidewalk is, but it'll depend on the street. Probably in a street by street area. So what we've been working on, and the Environmental Sustainability Board took the lead on this last year. So this is an example of a board pushing a policy through in a somewhat successful way. It hasn't been voted on yet. They took a first stab at revising the sidewalk policy from 2013 to make it easier for residents to get sidewalks. They removed the requirement that they removed the number of signatures that are required on the petition for contiguous neighbors to agree to having a sidewalk for the municipality to come in and do the evaluation, which is an engineering study to see where the sidewalk would go and how much that would cost. There's often landscape that has to be removed, sometimes utilities, sometimes retaining walls that are in the right of way and all kind of things that are expensive. And so they removed that. And then they also changed the criteria for how to prioritize requests a little bit from how the commission, the municipality would prioritize those requests. And without going into all the details, that's the right high level piece. And then the municipality has been working through it. Our legal team or solicitor has been working through it. The planner's been working through it and revised it a second time, presented that to the commission. And we're pretty close to finalizing the sidewalk policy. We're just not sure. The one piece we're not sure on is how many neighbors need to agree before the municipality will do the engineering work to see what the costs are. We want more than one, but maybe just a couple is fine. And that's the piece that we're working on. It also depends on percentage of the number of houses on the strip that's requesting it and things like that. But the other piece that I think is a little more, controversial, but also interesting is that the commission always has the right to, by ordinance, to put by resolution to put in a sidewalk wherever they deem that a sidewalk needs to be for whatever reason they deem that it needs to go there. Historically, we haven't done that a lot. We did do that at Greenhurst several years back, well, decades ago, at least. And the commission is interested and has an appetite for doing that on some other streets. And so the municipality looked across the municipality and made a recommendation on 6 areas, 6 sidewalks, 6 streets that could use sidewalks for various reasons. Residents have been requesting them over the years. They're walking routes to school in a couple of situations, or just headland traffic routes. So those streets, and just to be clear, the municipality is recommending that there be further research to see how much this would cost. If the commission is interested in putting sidewalks in, here's the 6 streets that are being evaluated. It's Greenhurst, the section that currently doesn't have a sidewalk. Kelso, there's a lot of residents have been asking for a sidewalk in Kelso because people fly down there. Lakemont, Sleepy Hollow Road, Rob Hollow Road, and Woodland Drive. Woodland Drive is a big walking area for Foster School. So based on what the municipality recommended to the commission at the last meeting, the commission agreed to pay $18,000 to $20,000 in engineering fees to evaluate those 6 segments of a street for a sidewalk and how much it would cost. And maybe this year during budget season, we'll have the information to make that decision and fund some of those. And maybe it won't be until next year. I'm not sure how long the study's going to take. But we are pursuing, we didn't agree to fund the installation of sidewalks, but we are pursuing that as an option right now.
Lebanon Boulevard ever come up on the list?
Lebanon. Know what you're saying though. It's
I travel there, walk there all the time, and it's a pretty road.
Whereas Londondale is among them.
Dale was one of my that's one that I've been complaining about a long time. It is a very busy street. A lot of turnover from in homes. People complain.
It is, and that's a real, I mean, that's services Jefferson and Marco and the elementary. Some of that splits between multiple schools.
I'm gonna make it. This was already funded. I'm sure it's still on the radar.
You know what they do with streets where there's a sidewalk on, say, 2/3 of the street and then it stops and then there's nothing?
So what we have done historically or what we want to do moving forward. So what's your question? What happens on that street?
Yeah.
Nothing happens now, as you might notice. Nothing at all happens, but if the resident's interested in that that lives on the section that doesn't have a sidewalk, if the resident's interested in putting a sidewalk in, they can ask the municipality. And right now they have to go through the process where 100% of residents have to agree to putting a sidewalk in for that to happen in that stretch. It's the current process. You don't have to have 100% of agreement up front, but before it can be installed, it needs to be 100% agreement, unless the commission is willing to just say we're going to do it anyway.
Hey, Mindy. Sorry, I was here at the beginning of the meeting, but I hadn't been promoted to panelist or whatever, but
Oh,
I didn't tell Laura I was going to attend virtually. So my bad, but is anybody in the commission addressing or considering about paying for sidewalk repair? Is that being considered as part of this at all? No.
It's not in this, there's two types of repairs. So there's repairs from tree root damage, and then there's just wear and tear as sidewalks have a useful life of 20, 30, whatever number of years that
Right.
they have. So if it's tree root damage, municipality pays for it, but if it's not, if it's regular, deemed regular wear and tear maintenance, then it is the resident's responsibility.
Okay, I had a person ask me about that at my book club, actually.
Well, there's the reason for that is if the like somebody said, why doesn't the municipality just take care of the snow? And if we maintain the sidewalks, then they become ours and we're responsible for all of everything.
Right.
Including
Totally got
and all that stuff. So we do repair the things that are our fault, like our trees, or if we dug it up to put a street in or something like that, we would fix it.
Completely makes sense. I think this woman actually, she's gonna have utility repairs or something, and they're gonna dig up the sidewalk and she'll have to replace that.
So, yep.
Anyway, just a little side note.
Yeah, good point. Maintenance is definitely on the resident, and like Laura said, there's the ongoing maintenance, including shoveling it, and then there's also liability that comes into play. We start to maintain sidewalks in any capacity.
One of the comprehensive plan task groups I attended, this was a big discussion. Actually, that was a hot topic because,
They're meeting tonight, actually at 7 o'clock.
yeah, and somebody pointed out, who lived at Kelso said, it's a nightmare. I can't go for a walk in front of my house, they're
Right.
35-mile-an-hour speed limit. People don't follow that. There's no stop signs. And take my
It's
dog or my-
surprising. You'd be surprised though, when somebody proposes it, they were proposed for Virginia Manor years ago. And the large number of residents came to meetings and said, we don't want it. We don't want
Right.
people coming in to walk on our streets. We're just fine walking where we are. And then, as you
Right.
mentioned, once, if you just put in a retaining wall and shrubs and your retaining wall is coming out. And especially people who live on corner lots, then all of a sudden they have 2 sidewalks to maintain
Right.
and shovel. And sometimes people are elderly and they can't. Yeah, so, or in my neighborhood, we have brand new sidewalks, all redone by the municipality because it was all street trees and everybody walks in the street anyway.
Yeah, well, even at Kelso, where it seems like an obvious need, that's still been an issue, that some people in Kelso don't want the sidewalks, even there. So, yes, that's,
There's definitely a percentage of people that don't want sidewalks.
Yeah.
That's been, the primary reason we don't have more sidewalks being installed.
It seems like this policy would help.
yes,
Can get further along now without having 100% of residents involved. And then when you get to that step, then the commission will have to decide, say we have a street, they with 10 houses and 7 people want sidewalks. So the commission will have to decide on a case by case basis with recommendations from the engineers. Do we want to just put a sidewalk in front of those 7 homes that have already agreed to have a sidewalk and leave the other 3 out? And then we know traffic will just pedestrian traffic will walk through those yards, or maybe they'll walk around, and then eventually there'll be turnover in those homes, and in 20 years we'll have sidewalks everywhere? Or does the commission want to say, well, that's too bad, 3 homes putting a sidewalk in here, we think it's the right thing to do for the community. Then it'll be contentious either way. And not a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, it's what one of the goals are that our residents are telling, they're screaming from the comprehensive plan, more walkability.
yes. Well, luckily sidewalks don't really negatively impact the historic value of homes,
Right.
so
We're good.
we're good there.
On that though, I was in Virginia, and I saw brick being installed in a crosswalk on an asphalt street to sort of like delineate the crosswalk. It's a little safer. Historic change. Yeah, historic district, historic preservation board might like that, or brick. But I don't know, it looks a little, it depends on where it was.
And some cities have been doing that for safety reasons too.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly, it's a different
You know,
surface.
Catch your blind colors or whatever. Change the traffic flow. Okay, anything else?
That's all I have. That's all the big ones. Normal stuff, like we put deer again for every year.
Okay, thanks. Or anything,
I did want to quickly share with you the website.
I've been looking at it. It's beautiful, Laura.
it does look nice.
I'm working on two computers at a time here and I'm very confused. Sorry about that. So this again is our landing page. The search is way more prominent because we want people to be able to find what they're coming for. As I told some of the folks before we started, the great majority of people come to our website from Google and search engines. Most people just type in what they want. Whereas in the early days, our website has been around for 26 years. When we started it, people came in through the front door and then they had to look around. Now they want to go right to what they're looking for. So we redid everything. So search is at the core of everything. These trending now pieces are things that we think people need to see, not necessarily something they're looking for, but sometimes, you wouldn't necessarily know that the municipal building front door access has changed. So the hope is to draw people's attention to that sort of stuff. And then quick links of the calendar is much improved. So for those of you coming into meetings now, if you want to Zoom in the meeting, you don't have to go all the way to the agenda that I sent you. All of the Zoom links are on the homepage there. So the it's just a scroll down from the calendar. So
Great.
very useful for the other meetings that you pop in on as well. And it's posted pretty much as soon as the Zoom is created, so that's helpful. Quick links, these are the most common links that people went to. We didn't ask them, we actually looked at where they were going and put them on the quick links. Then we have some tools that people use, paying taxes, public documents, agendas and minutes. Then there's community links. These are our partner organizations, Outreach, the Historical Society, School District St. Clair Health, and all our social media contacts. So, and everything's kind of organized where we think people would look for them if they are looking for it and they haven't Googled. For example, we moved roads and transportation together, pulled it out of Public Works. And all roads and transportation are there, sidewalks, walking, cars, snow and ice, our construction schedule, all of that is all in one place. So boards and authorities are under About, and every board has a little card here with information about it. So yours is here. It's just basic information about each board. We used to have a lot of the Historic Preservation Board efforts under this page, but the average resident may not think to look there. Again, they're talking about their historic house or the historic district. It makes sense for us to look there, but for them, it didn't make sense to look there. So there are links here to resident section. And that is where we have a whole page on historic properties.
Nice.
So we moved all of the stuff that had been under the Historic Preservation Board to the historic properties page. We literally just moved everything. I don't think we cut anything out. There were a couple things that were duplicated. Again, there's a little reference here to the Historic Preservation Board. So if people didn't know it exists and they're looking up something that has to do with their historic home, then they can then go look and see what the Historic Preservation Board does. And whatever the new board structure is, whoever is charged with historic preservation will change that so that they still get there, because, I hear the concern that the word historic is not necessarily used in the description. So hopefully they're already on this page and that's a good reference for them. So
I think that's a good step, having that separate, because we're changing the name of the board. That's.
and it was the same with other boards too. We had things under the Parks Board. For example, the Economic Development Council did the Complete Streets policy.
I would know that, yeah.
So Complete Streets is under transportation, because that's where it makes sense. And it's not to take credit away from anyone, but who paid for it, whose idea it was, or who maintains it is not how the
That's not
users
what
of
the
this
public's
website
looking
think
for.
about it. So, so anyway, does anybody have any questions about the site while we're here?
Yeah, it looks really nice though.
Thank you. The only other thing I wanted to tell you all, we're very excited. On August 5th, we are having Uptown Unveiled. It is from noon to 6 p.m. We are closing Washington Road. This is kind of the symbolic giving back of the road to the residents and the businesses. The businesses are gonna have all kinds of stuff. I know East End Brewing is gonna be having food and beer, and the saloon is going to be selling drinks. There's gonna be kids' games, there's gonna be live music. All of that is on our website, but again, people have been really patient. I know we've given you updates on the fact that it's taken a long time, but if any of you have done projects on your home, you know, all things have taken longer recently. So it's not just, you know, we've all found unseen circumstances when we break open a wall. So it's not just us, but we're very excited about it. Right now, the project, I don't want to jump over anybody's report here. So if somebody's reporting on Vibrant Uptown itself, they can report on progress there, but
Noon to 5, you said?
noon to 6.
Noon to 6.
Noon to 6,
Awesome.
and the road will be closed.
Yes,
Um,
street.
Again, really drawing attention to our businesses that have been really patient. Yeah.
Are we sending out a Lebo alert about it or just curious?
Now, probably not now.
Not now, but
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. We'll have Levo alert. It's in the magazine. It's on our website. We have posters coming. We have coasters coming, although bars and restaurants are gonna have coasters, paper coasters that advertise it. Trying to think what else we're doing. There's gonna be a banner at the garage. And I'm telling every presentation that I give everywhere, I'm telling everybody. So the word should be out there. All right, let me share my screen again. Chris in my office, who's just a genius with graphics, came up with this Phoenix concept for the marketing. Where is it? I put a little bit in the back here because these things were a little bit more important right now. But this is the branding, this Uptown Unveiled. So you'll see that.
Beautiful.
Uptown. Yeah, he did a good job, so. Yeah.
Have all the businesses been notified of that?
I can talk to Eric. I don't know the answer to that. He usually does outreach. So, yeah. And then they're being encouraged, the businesses are being encouraged to have, there's gonna be, and I don't think we have it set yet. There's gonna be some type of motivation for people to actually go inside the businesses. There's some sort of raffle to get people going in the doors to each business. And then businesses are going to be encouraged to do something interesting, give a little seminar, do product sampling, have flyers, you know, whatever they want that they would do if they had extra traffic coming into there. And I mean, Howard Hanna has such a great spot that, you know, it would be a great opportunity. And there'll be stuff in Clearview Common too that will bring people to the front door. Yeah, we're really super excited because it's been a really long time. It hasn't quite been 2 years yet, people. Somebody told me the other day it was 5 years. I'm like. Talking about it for 5 years, but we did have a little something going on in 2020 that might have done some disruption, but it was July of 2021 when it actually started, so.
Not quite Route 28.
Or any of the other business districts. I mean, when you go to the south side, when you go to Lawrenceville, when you go to Shady Side, these things take longer than anybody wants. Even Castle Shannon Boulevard has that one little section that's not done of their project too. So we're moving forward. So that's all from my report.
Well, thanks. Hearing business, anything up with historic signs? They're up and around, they're on the poles.
I saw a few complaints online that,
Complaints which way?
like, there's too many of them. You know, there's too many sections for designated historic.
And see, I get the opposite. I get people, why doesn't my street have one? We're in the historic district. And I explained to them Ann's philosophy, you know, we had money for 250, there were 361 intersections. It was all maps to make sure that there was the most trafficked intersections and not too many on one street. And definitely if maybe this end wasn't historic, but this end was, we would err toward having the sign on that. But you would be surprised. And there were a couple that the poles actually were down. So we had to order poles before we could put the sign, before we could put the street sign. And those people were calling saying, where is my sign? So,
Well, I think it's probably, you know, it's, if you got a sign, you thought you were special. If you didn't get a sign, then you want a sign.
exactly. But it did what it was supposed to do, right? It was supposed to get people talking about it, get people knowing that we do have a historic district, getting people, you know, is my house in it? Is my house in? I did get some calls to that nature. And again, on that, historic properties, there is a map of the section and a list on the application is on there that actually lists it. And then sometimes you will get into that conversation. Well, we're in the historic district, but my house isn't listed. Why not? So usually if I pull up the county website, I can usually tell something by making sure they know that their house is still wonderful and lovely. And if they've done a renovation, you do it for all sorts of reasons, you know, not necessarily historic preservation, but that, you know, if you're gonna do certain things, it's gonna spot for you.
Well, if they want, they can go on the website and look at the actual National Register nomination form and see.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I send them to.
And
Yeah,
although
but it's still-
that's not easy to find.
isn't.
It's a
But it
big
doesn't-
document.
It doesn't give them specific reasons why their property wasn't chosen.
Yeah.
It just says that it's non-contributing and they want to know why. Well, my house was built in 1925. It's older than one that is in the district. Well, okay, 1945, yes, but if you put in a vinyl railing on that house, you're probably disqualified for that, or you change the roof line, or you put on an addition, or you put, you got rid of your 3/1 window and put in casement or double hung or something.
Right,
That could have changed that. So
a lot of reasons.
the architects are going, you're using all the wrong terms, I know, but you know what I mean. So,
I did hear a couple of conversations of people complaining about why would they spend that much money for that sort of thing? It's like, what a waste. So it's just like,
Yeah, you're not gonna win those arguments.
no,
Okay, I mean, the overall goal is, once again, to let people know that we have an historic district and they're part of it. To maintain these neighborhoods, to have a sense of identity that helps hopefully preserve them so that people will think twice about tearing down historic properties. Things like that.
and maybe leading the income generating properties to realize they have a tax credit possibility.
Right. Okay, brick streets, kind of talked about that already. If you have not looked at the discussion session from last month, they did talk quite a bit about funding the brick streets, and there is a presentation that on there with a list of how they're ranking the streets right now and looking at cost, and it's really informative. I mean, I thought he did a lot of work
He
putting
did
that
so
together.
much work. He did so much work. I was upset that we couldn't agree in that one meeting because there was so much work and time had been put in, not just by him, but obviously by the CMU group and by this group for years. But it is just such.
Right, there's a lot of work, and that's very helpful to have that perspective on there and so forth to look at. So if you haven't looked at it, take a look. One nice thing is with the new format, it's much easier to watch those discussion sessions than the old one used to be. I did appreciate that quite a bit, in the new website design and everything works well. So check that out. So it's still in their hands. There's still a lot of work to do really in terms of figuring out what we can afford, what they can actually preserve, and how to make those decisions. So
I can send you all right now. I was just crafting an email. The list is up to date, right? Historic Preservation Board email list is to date. Yeah, it's up to date. So I'll send it to right now and you guys can have it. It's the list that's from the presentation and it includes a cost. I'll try to put this in the email so you don't have to try to remember it, but right now, based on the streets that are recommended to be preserved, it's an annual incremental cost based on the 60-year life cycle of about $500,000, so $500,000 that we have to come up with somehow to preserve the list of streets that are the street segments that are already being recommended to preserve. $500,000 additional to what we currently spend on our street reconstruction program. We could take that money off of asphalt reconstruction, but then those streets would also degrade as well. So those are future topics to decide.
okay, public education.
So Marilyn, I sent you the document that we're gonna be talking about here, and I also emailed it to Grace as well, so you should all have it.
It's for education. Cool.
so I had a chance to talk to Laura a couple weeks ago and just talked about some different ideas for possibilities for education opportunities this coming year. So some of this are things that have been done in the past. Do we want to do them again or some maybe new kind of things? So this was just sort of a first pass at a list of potential topics to get people's reactions to things that see what may be of interest in trying to pull off and talk about maybe timing of some of these things. So I guess in the past, there's been a table at First Fridays. We missed the first Friday of June. So if we were thinking about doing something like again, there's a couple opportunities, July 7th and August 4th. I don't know if you want to say a little bit more about what happened at those since I was.
I got you guys a big massive map. Maybe the architects can help me find a piece of foam core. I could not find anything big enough, so we kind of had, it was a very amateur setup, but we do have a full size map so that people can actually come up and look and see if their house is on it. We also can put together handouts about what the historic district is. I provide support, like I come and sit with you in case you have any questions. I'll let you do the talking to people in the engagement, but invariably there's a question that's, 4 years ago, how did this happen? So, so that was really, really successful because most people either didn't know we had a historic district, wanted to know why it is where it is, why does it stop there? Sunset Hills was the biggest question, why aren't you in Sunset Hills? So many houses that were built in that time and remain true to the style. So it's just a really good chance to be at a very casual event. And we're not selling anything, we're not, it's just come on over here and let's talk about historic properties. And then also mentioning to anybody who, again, I keep harping on this, but the people who have income producing properties, we did have somebody who had a duplex who did take advantage of that tax credit. They fixed up their duplex and were able to get tax credits for that. So they had a nicer project than they otherwise would have had. So that's kind of nice.
Right, and we just sort of had people from the board volunteer to do time slots during this to be.
Nice.
There.
Make sure there's somebody there.
So we
Yeah.
always try to have at least 2 board members present.
It's
Any
7
point
to
in time.
10 now. They moved it. It used to be earlier. You would have to debate the value of that 9 to 10 PM hour, but
Yeah,
but from 7 to 9.
Yeah, so we wouldn't necessarily have to do it the whole time,
yeah,
but
probably 7 to 9.
but it was kind of fun meeting folks, and be able to just talk about historic preservation and show them the map. The map was cool, which, by the way, I still have that at my house.
Oh, is that where it is?
Because we started talking about it, dawned on me, because I put it in,
No, it's.
I have it stored in a tube in my
I
office.
always have a GIS do another one, but it's good that it's safe.
So it's, yeah, put it in a tube, kind of protected a bit, and
But I couldn't find any foam cores. I've got the clippies if somebody has any extra foam cores around.
so that's basically what we were doing, and it worked well. We also sold a few historic plaques. People didn't know they could but get a plaque from the Historical Society to put on their
And
house.
historical study is always there, so we can arrange it so that you would be next door to them. They could go, hey, they're right there.
Oh, nice. When's the last time we were at it First Friday?
It was Bill's first year, right?
But 2019, right, the next summer was the
Yeah.
pandemic, so we never got a chance to do it again. In fact, we missed the first couple of Fridays. We just did it in August. We just did it the one time before we got our act together and got it out there. We just did it the one time, and then a pandemic hit, we never did it again.
Well, even one more visit, one of these two would be a win, or both of them.
Well, we might consider going to Uptown and Vale instead of First Friday. Why don't you just do one time this summer? Maybe that would be a good event. I don't know if you guys were going, because this construction will be done, right? Out in front of the building.
Well, the parks will not be done, but the current end date is July 10th.
No promises.
From the
but that's
contractor.
our plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
But put it this way, we're closing the street. There's plenty of room for you. So
Exactly.
But that's.
we're probably putting the porta potties right in front of the municipal building because that's the flattest area that we have to,
Oh.
we need flat for porta potties, but we'd find a place for you.
Well, the one is just the day before.
Right,
So-
yeah, I mean, it's the same weekend, but.
Yeah.
But
So
it
that
was,
was that one potential idea. I guess in the past, they've had like in-office workshops and consulting, so they had like office hours where people could come in and professionals would be here to help answer questions. I don't know if that's worth thinking about. So there are, one, a lot of architects who live in Mount Lebanon, and 2, a lot of firms that have expertise in preservation. So I think in the past, there was sort of a national or a larger kind of forum that was done at Washington School. And they brought in preservation specialists. And it was pretty successful. It was sold out, right? You actually charged admission. We could do a local one. I know there's a lot of historic preservation expertise with people that I know of that we could probably, call in favors to see.
Mr. Mackey, we're in the Historic Preservation Board meeting. You're welcome to come in.
Too early for the,
Comp plan,
I
okay.
think comp plan's in D.
okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
So if that was something we wanted to try to arrange, to either have. We could have individual firms come and have multiple different sessions. Or we could have one like big forum if we wanted to try to do something like that, or you could just have like. Every month or every other month, a different person, come to have a lecture somewhere about preservation ideas. I think they'd all be interested in kind of presenting. Particularly if a lot of them actually live here. I didn't know if there's a cemetery where I've been doing a lot of walking.
The Historical Society does one, yeah.
Okay, so they already do that. I guess in the past, there's been like trolley tours that have been done, which takes a lot of coordination. I didn't know if it's worth having we developed sort of a walking tour / driving tour through the various neighborhoods, and it could be like narrated in some fashion, or do something to like highlight specific properties that people could walk around and maybe somebody could develop, why is this particular property worth, understanding about its historic characteristics. That could then, be sort of a long-lived item that people could either check out or get access to. So
Howard Hanna is bringing that back in September. They're going to have a house tour. Where I forget how many homes are selected. And then you pay to go visit the homes. It's driving. It's not, you couldn't walk them all. And then the money goes to charity. And it's gonna be sometime in the month of September, but I don't know.
September 23rd.
Is that what it is? Glad you know.
So are they all historic properties, or they're?
I think it's just a mix of people that recently maybe bought and renovated, and just to show. Like it's more so for clients. It's not like they were selected for any particular reason. But it's always very popular. It sells a ton of tickets.
I didn't know if there was anybody doing like a historic property that was being renovated or restored, that they would be willing to give a tour actually of the construction site, maybe after hours. I don't know enough about the projects going on around town to know if anything like that's happening, and would they be willing to do something like that? Sometimes those kind of hands-on things are fun to kind of go see. While I was sort of searching websites, there are a lot of obviously book resources for preservation. I don't know if we have like any kind of a comprehensive bibliography to send to people, but maybe we could develop something like that to have on the website that you can find. These are better sources to go to if you're looking for something. So maybe we can do something like that.
The Howard Hanna House thing, if I can interrupt just before I forget, Saturday, September 23rd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I bet you the library would cooperate with that. If you
Yeah, I
wanted to
think
put
we
together a
could.
book list and a little display of books,
Sure.
local historic architecture and
Yep.
resources.
A lot of what we talk about is buildings, but there's also a lot of beautiful landscapes around, and I don't know if there are things like places that would give talks on landscape preservation. And
It should, it's Sunny Hill. Because you know who did Sunny Hill originally,
I don't
the Olmsted.
Olmsted.
Shame.
So, like, again, at least some other communities have done things with landscape preservation that maybe we could develop a little program about that. I would think people would be really interested in sort of just understanding more about the native species and things like that. So, just an idea. Through work, I had a contact with a woman named Teresa Duff. She runs a business called Lineage Historic Preservation Services. I worked with her on we did the painting restoration at the front of the house at Heinz Hall. So she was involved with sort of the glazing techniques and the gold leaf techniques and stuff like that. She's also she did the Vonka murals and over on the north side at the Serbian church. She's restored like all the sculptures in some of the county parks, things like that. So she has a wide variety of things, but she's fascinating to listen to or just watch, if she's restoring something, the techniques. And so, it would be a workshop that I'm sure would draw interest. How much it would apply to like home restoration or renovation, I don't know, but it's certainly interesting to find out about some of the things and how she goes about restoring some of this kind of work. So we could try to see if she would be willing to do that. I don't know if it's worth having like a photo contest. Just people's different properties and, is there a way to judge, something like that and give out some prizes? I don't know. Do we have budgets for giving out prizes or things like that?
$1,500 in the budget for this education project.
So anyway, we might have something like that at historic
We
properties.
used to have a renovation contest. But
We did that Halloween, decorate your
Yeah.
own Halloween contest, and it was all on Facebook. You just collected the photos, posted them, and the person that got the most likes won the prize. During COVID when.
I'm not sure how much is highlighted in Mount Lebanon Magazine about historic properties, if there's a.
we need to do
Regular.
more of it, and I would love this board's help. There were a couple of properties that we've written about repeatedly, but the magazine's been around for 42 years now, so some of them could be written about again. It's mainly just making the contact with the owners and, getting them to agree to it. Everybody's always nervous once, when you're going into their house, because they think, are my taxes gonna go up? What's their, somebody looking at what I have in here? So it's harder than you think sometimes to let people open their homes to us, but it's the most popular stuff we write about. People love to read about it. They love to get ideas for their own homes. So that would be fantastic, especially if you have ins with anybody who has homes like that.
Contact my sister. They have the plaque out front.
An article about somebody using the tax credit once we got the district to renovate apartments or something.
It was a duplex, yeah.
Duplex.
Yeah, we did write about it.
But maybe now that the duplex is finished, maybe a brief follow-up article. Once again, to remind folks
Right.
that that's one of the advantages of the historic district is that you can apply for these things and get tax credits for renovations to income producing historic properties. So yeah, you can do more. Yeah, you guys have done some, 'cause I've read a bunch of things in there, but
Possibility of doing something with school kids, just to get a younger group interested in kind of these sort of topics, so. And I don't know if there's other things that people might have in mind, so I don't know if we wanted to try to. See if there's 3 or 4 of these that seem like would be the worthwhile to pursue, or.
I'm sorry, my stomach. Sorry.
Yeah, probably a couple would be good. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a couple, 2 to 3 even, like just make some headway and do something well.
The first Fridays is low hanging fruit, I can tell you that.
what's that?
The first
First
Fridays is
Fridays.
low hanging fruit.
Right.
That's
Just show up.
That would be easy to do. We've got the stuff. We just have to get people to say, well, okay, yeah, let's take turns showing up to do it. That's basically. what
And the
really
library
costs
thing
anything.
seems.
We could maybe use some of our other funds we have to buy that corkboard. Put the map on. Have a platform for showing it off, because it is We'll have to just unroll it on a table and. It's
We had a
big.
board that was like for somebody's science project, so it kept trying to fold up.
Um,
Well, I can certainly, if you have it, I can work with you to get it mounted onto something that could be displayable.
Okay, yeah,
I can send an email to Eric, our contact in it, with the partnership and to get you guys a table. So which are you interested in?
You want to just do it August 4th?
yeah. Why don't we just shoot, that gives us time to do it one Friday this summer, like we did back years ago.
And let me know if there's any other, if there's any type of leave behind that you want my office to make. Like any kind of like little flyer or anything for you to hand out that somebody could take home. It could be, you know, QR code that takes people to that page on the website with all those resources on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty easy one to pull off. And I think doing that for like, probably we just don't want to do it past 9 or so, or when it gets dark, you can't really do it once it gets dark. It's kind of hard to read that.
People, kids get tired, they get cranky.
Yeah. But, yeah. I think the landscape preservation is a great idea, but it occurred to me that might be a great one to hold off to table for when we have the reconstruction of the committee and when we're with sustainability. And those folks would be really interested in probably that topic as well. And there might be a way to get the different elements of the newly organized board working together on an education project. You know, have one where we're looking at landscape preservation. There's something where there's an overlap. You know, we gotta be looking towards all this committee, get together,
Yeah.
right? And get on the same page with things. That might be an excellent idea for bringing up next year with the new committee. New board. I think if we've got money to bring in either the architectural speakers or Teresa Duff, a speaker event. Because we haven't done anything like that since I've been on board. We do have this money that I think considering one of those ideas. we can work that out.
Especially since the last one was such a success, I think it's a good idea to just go with that. And then maybe you could pick one of these other things that are a little less labor intensive, like the book list or. So we'd have the first Fridays, the architectural speaker forum, and then maybe one of these other little things. I don't know what you guys think of that.
Yeah, I could work certainly with the library on book resources and develop a bibliography of various things.
Yeah, that one shouldn't be too hard to do.
Right.
You
And
want
they'll
to,
put that in their newsletter too. They have an e-newsletter that they push out to their friends and then that'll get traction. They'll put on their website. We'll put on our website.
Well, and I could certainly talk to Teresa about doing some kind of a speaker event. And I could also work on the local architectural speakers, maybe for maybe next spring or February or March or something like that. So we'd have time to kind of organize it and get sort of an agenda together. Do you know when the last one was here? Did they have individual speakers speak about different topics, or how did that work?
The topic was good design makes good sense. So it was all about the economic vitality of historic preservation. So everything themed to that. They did have a couple speakers and the big thing was they got Con Ed for it. So that attracted other industry folks that came out and really drove some of the attendance in addition to being, you know, just residents. It was other people who are looking to keep their education credits up. So I gave Anne, when she was on the board here, my materials. I'm hoping she saved them. If not, I might see if I have another set. But we had a full set of really nice educational materials that we handed out to everybody as part of that project. We did get a grant to underwrite that. It was a lot of money, but again, because we had a take home folder with people could put their notebooks and stuff that they learned. So But it doesn't have to be that big of a deal, it can be. Whatever you guys want.
Yeah, a little bit more.
And
Well, it occurs to me that Teresa Duff might be a good speaker to talk with the Historical Society about co-sponsoring. Because her unique expertise
Right.
would be of a more general interest, not just people trying to renovate their houses, but anybody interested in history and historic preservation.
Right.
Would be, that would be an appealing lecture. And I know that the Historical Society has expressed an interest in, joining with us in education events. Participating. I sent you the link, but it had a name of someone from the Historical Society that was interested in maybe. That email I just sent you again.
Well, the Historical Society has restored an old mural that was behind all the paint in that structure. It's pretty amazing. I wonder if Teresa knows about that or if they could consult with them about it, because I know they were interested in doing more of that, but.
That's an idea with that. That might be the type of speaker that'd be good to just start with them to join, keep bring her down.
Yeah. So how does that go about in terms of touching base with them and coordinating that? How would that best work?
Grace is our liaison.
Yeah, I can just pass it along to them. Meetings are only every other month for the Historical Society. So the next meeting is going to be in July. So not too far, honestly. But I can certainly bring it up then. I just had a conversation with one of the guys over there about the murals in there, and I'll get to it in my report, but that would definitely fit right in.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to talk with them and, if we need to have a conference call or something to just touch base, and I could just reach out to Teresa and see, what her availability might be sometime like maybe in the fall to do something like that.
I know that funding was an issue. They didn't have the funds to do a lot of that restoration work. But that was when I went toured there years ago. Things might have changed, so.
Okay, well, I'll start working on those 4 things at least, and then see how it goes.
Great. And we don't have to do them all at once, right? Spread these things out. Advisory board transition, is there something that,
So no update, but I just want to remind everyone, this summer is what we have, like the goal of the summer is to document everything that we want to be sure is preserved moving forward. And then by September, hopefully we can turn that over. If we're ready, we can keep adding to it, but
Right.
that's kind of the ask.
that's something we can build into drafting a policy.
Yes.
So,
Definitely.
so it's not just a one-time deal, if we can actually get the commission to adopt it as an actual policy.
Yeah, the policy should, keep going until we get it adopted.
But
But just what does the historic preservation board do and want to make sure we keep doing?
Right.
Go to First Fridays, and that's our core mission. I don't know if there's been any traction on that, writing it up, or we have our repository. Put it in. Because everyone's busy, I think, but that's all.
But I'll take it as part of putting together the policy. That's a good point, stepping out point for looking at all of that, because basically all the things that the board has been doing should be incorporated into that policy in some way, shape, or form, right? So
That we can put it there,
that's basically, I think, where might be the mechanism for getting everything, the information you all, the commission needs in terms of this transition together. If we actually have a policy drafted by and in their hands by September.
that's true. Great.
And
Thanks.
liaison reports, comprehensive plan, nothing new on my end. I reported on that last time. Matt's not here. Did he send anything from the Economic Development Council? Historical Society, Grace.
All right, so we had a meeting on May 17th, so just a couple days after our last meeting. And there was quite quite a lot to talk about, especially in terms of some of the repairs that are ongoing there and sort of what they're looking to in the future for the building itself that the Historical Society is in. And then a little bit about events. So I'll start with some of the work that they've been doing. So they have been mostly raising funding for a roof deck project to sort of fix / update a roof on the Historical Society building. And they were able to find, after a structural evaluation, some really cool ceramic tiles that actually fit in with like the historic character of the building, and are going to work well for that up there. As far as funding goes, they basically have secured all of the funding and put it away for that roof deck project. But they were looking overall at what is it going to take to sort of finish the job on our overall goal for the building to sort of, fully rejuvenate it and make it a space where people want to gather in the community. And so combined with the roof deck repair or project rather, and then what they owe on the building, and what they have been loaned by the municipality, which is about $200,000. It's going to be about $600,000 to like finish the job totally in terms of any sort of renovation, but also preservation and conservation of interior spaces. So those murals and such. And they don't seem too concerned about that number at all, considering the donations and the pledges that they get. Jim, who works with their capital campaign committee, said they get about 919,000 in pledges. So they should be able over the next few years, they were saying, to sort of, meet that and finish the job completely. Their vision for turning it into an event space is something that's really cool, be rentable to the public. And I know they said they were reaching out to the municipality perhaps about sort of creating an event rental space policy, because they want it to be, accessible to the public for rent. But they also, some of the members were concerned about like hate groups or something wanting to rent it out and things like that. So they wanted to get in contact with the municipality about, how to create a mission statement or an event policy that would, allow for free congregation of people, but prohibit any ne'er-do-wells to some degree. I'm not sure that would actually be a huge issue here in Mount Lebanon at all. But they're working towards that. So that is pretty much all for the repair side of things. As far as events, so they do have their walking tours that they do. There was one that happened, or was supposed to happen at least in early June, about a week ago, that was an uptown tour. And there's the Virginia Manor one scheduled for August 5th. And then just a slideshow tour of Sunset Hills on September 7th. There was some conversation among the members about creating events that are more engaging, because they felt that some of the tours have been done so many times that it's not going to attract any new people, to go on them. It's just the same people or the same sort of tours. And so they're trying to figure out, are there other events that we can do or other walking tours that we can do that are going to be more engaging to different populations? So they're working on brainstorming for that. They had an urban hike in May that was a little bit different from the regular walking tours, and that was really successful. So they're looking at maybe turning towards those sorts of events, but maybe that's an opportunity for, a partnership between historic preservation and the Historical Society to create something new. Especially with the Uptown project going on. I don't think the Uptown tour was well attended. And yeah, they just want to do something different. I think there's quite an opportunity perhaps for some of the more, not distant necessarily, but some of the neighborhoods that are like further away from Uptown. They don't really focus on those as much. Perhaps something like that for a walking tour. They also are starting to plan their annual fundraising event, which should be a weeknight in October. They don't have a date planned yet. But I believe last year I did not attend, but it was sort of a themed night, and it was very well attended. They have a lot of sponsors, a lot of fundraising. They have an online auction. And they have gotten in contact with Representative Dan Miller and Congressman DeLuzio, who've said that they are going to try and make it to those events, just to, sort of show face in Mount Lebanon. So that is in the works as well. And then finally, they are applying for a grant called the HARC grant, which is an archiving grant in order to sort of take the archives that they currently have and microfilms and like old newspapers and stuff like that, and convert them to where they're digitized. And in order to secure that amount of funding, they're partnering with the library on this HARC grant. The application process, Jeff is the one who is in charge of it, but it should be done probably in the fall, it's looking like. But it would just, again, sort of bring more of an updated access to the Historical Society, which I think is sort of what they're thinking long-term in both the facility and events and their online resources, just sort of modernize them. So that's pretty much it. All in all, it seems like they're doing well. They have a lot going on, and definitely a lot of passionate members who want to see historic preservation and the historic homes that are here in Mount Lebanon definitely stay. I had a lot of questions after the meeting had concluded about what's going to happen with the Historic Preservation Board. A lot of concern about it disappearing, and I assured them that myself and Phil and Bill and multiple people, we're going to be working on coming to an agreement in a way that we can ensure that preservation isn't pushed to the sidelines. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Grace?
Good update, thank you.
Good update. Planning board, Marilyn, do you have anything for us?
I didn't realize I was muted. No, they didn't meet last month, so I'll be attending the meeting tomorrow night and I will report in July.
Okay, all right. Partnership design, Bill, you got anything for us?
I'm sorry, I don't. I have to kick it into gear, but I'm gonna be here I was gone for 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So I just have to step it up moving forward.
All right, that's fine, we're all volunteers here.
Yeah, but still,
Well, speak for ourselves, we're the volunteers.
Which is why I'll do whatever you need me to do. They are paying me.
Okay, all right, anything else for the good of the order?
I just want to ask one question about the sidewalks, because this has come up.
Please.
So
That's
if
a
you're
hot topic.
looking at Cedar Boulevard and you have the 3 fields, you have Dixon, Middle, and I forget what the other is. And then you have the sidewalk behind it. And then people line up their chairs on the sidewalk. And then when people are walking, they have to step onto busy Cedar Boulevard and get back around the chairs onto the sidewalk. Is that allowed?
No, it's not
Okay.
allowed. Every spring, at the beginning of baseball season or softball season, it's an issue. And it's often high school games that are really well attended from people in
I
other
think I
areas.
see it all the time, and I'm just like, should we have a sign there? Says
Yeah.
Don't.
So we did have something there
Okay.
that people claimed they couldn't read it. So we ordered 4 more. They are now placed actually on the chain link. So literally, if you're sitting down looking at the field, you will see the sign. But more importantly, where it became an issue, am I interrupting?
No, this is great.
No, I just want to know when people.
Where it
complain
really
about the
stepped up
sidewalk
is
You're not
when they-
supposed to put your chairs on the
Okay.
sidewalk.
Correct. When they put the turf in, people were not allowed to put chairs on the turf because it would invalidate the warranty. So the sports groups and the recreation groups got together and said, we're nearing the end of this round of turf so let's let them put their chairs on it. But whoever is renting the turf for that event, be responsible for making sure that no damage is done. And then the groups are now talking about some more long-range plans, bleachers, accessible areas, because what we heard when we nicely asked people not to put their chairs there is there's nowhere else for us to go. Where do you want us to go? So it was kind of a compromise. You can't stand on the sidewalk. It's illegal. We have to be clear that there's accessibility issues, people, but again, there's nowhere for them to go. So the temporary answer is they're allowed to be on the turf. As long as it doesn't get destroyed. But
Okay, good to know. Cause I'm just down there all the time and I hear like, you can't sit there, you can't.
Can't-
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's safe to make someone walk into.
It's not, and we
Cedar
did
Boulevard.
get large number of complaints about that,
Okay.
which is why we announced it.
Thank you.
Hey, anything else?
Questions? Any more? You know, it's.
If not, I have a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
My stomach.
Our next meeting will be Monday, July 17th, 5 PM. Hopefully you can all attend.
Then, could I ask about that? Is everybody like, is anybody gonna have a big problem? We're gonna make quorum for the next two, summer meetings are always hard to make quorum, but I know that now we have the hybrid format, maybe that's not as much of an issue. But if a lot of people are gonna be on vacation for either the July or the August meeting, it's better to know now and cancel it to public notice.
When is the August one scheduled for?
But
What's that, Grace?
When is the August scheduled for?
First.
Okay, that's fine. No problem for me.
okay, anybody have a conflict for August 21st or July
I-
17th?
I do for July, but not,
Okay, so one for
I could probably
July.
come for like. I have an event, I have.
Yeah,
Have to zoom in to from August, you know, August.
I'm gonna have a July conflict with the doctor's appointment. I might be able to make it on Zoom, but I'm not sure. Okay. But it sounds like not everybody, so.
Well, I always send the reminder out the week before, so the sooner you get back to me if you know you can't. I mean, I definitely have a drop dead of Thursday just because, like, we have another meeting in the other room and they wanted this room, 'cause this one is better, and I said, no, we had it first, blah, blah, blah. So I will always push you for that lunchtime Thursday, but I always get back to Phil if it looks like I haven't heard from people. You know, just because we do have IT here when we meet, so if we end up not having a quorum show up and we end up not having a quorum, then we've paid IT to be here when they don't have to be here and they don't like that. Plus, people come up and maybe pay to parking, get babysitters and things like that, so. This group has been excellent about it.
Yeah, so it's good to let them know as soon as possible.
Yeah, summers are
Don't have to
always
wait till Thursday, so.
And December. December's
December's
always our big one
really
because the third Monday in December is.
Yeah, we don't-
We usually cancel that one,
Yeah.
you know,
But we have stuff going on this summer that we're. trying to
yeah,
plan,
stuff to
so
move
I
forward to, so it's good to meet as long as we
think
can
good that We
meet.
can get a quorum.
Yeah.
All right. All right, well, thank you, everybody.
Thank
It's
you.
good to see you, Grace, Carolyn.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know for sure about the next meeting, but I don't see it likely that I'll come.